Okay, this is the first video in where we're going to talk about the elements of analyzing the Box and Whisker graphs for the year 13 inference investigation. Again, very similar to the year 12 one. In fact, this front page is very close to the one I gave them. When we're looking at it, we're looking at shape, center, spread, anything unusual or outliers and clusters, the shift and the overlap. When you talk about two different groups, again, you have to always be comparing them. You can't just do individual descriptions. You have to be comparing the two things. Here I say that like group A is fairly symmetrical with no skews. This is different than. Really simple tie-ins between the two groups. Okay, different than group A, which has a right skew from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. Okay, or the spread. Again, I say what the first one is and then I compare it. Okay, so you need those comparisons. When it comes down to the making the call of whether one group is larger than the other group, or tends to be larger, which is what we're doing with these. Our overall investigation is tied to the median, but when we do the Box and Whisker analysis, what we're looking at is just what group in general tends to be bigger or smaller, or maybe there tends to be no difference, or at least not a statistically significant one. Anyways, when we make that call, we're looking at the center, the shift, and the overlap. The other parts give us good information that we can comment on, but when we make the call, it's based on those three. Okay, again, for achieved, you're looking at just straight up numbers. For merit, we're relating it to the context, which sometimes is tricky. It's really easy to get caught in the trap of always writing in general term, like this group is bigger than the other group, has a median that's higher, but you want to be specific. If it's males versus females, that's what you're talking about. Male groups, female groups. If the median is 20 minutes, then that's what you say, 20 minutes, not just 20. Okay, and if it's the median exercise time, then we should probably say the median exercise time. Okay, we always want to be relating it to context. It's just an easy way to get ourselves into that merit. And excellence, as always, is the why. Why does it either make sense or not make sense? Agree with their hypothesis or not? And again, the time when you might want to put in a line of research to back you up. Again, not a lot of research. You don't want to have just a whole page tied to one point with research. But it is good if you can get one line of research to back up when you make a why kind of comment, especially since it's pretty rare that we're actually experts in this. Okay. First of all, to look at shape. Check my time. Okay. First of all, to look at shape. We're looking at symmetry. If it's going to be balanced, if it looks balanced, like pretty close, it doesn't have to be exact, but pretty close, then you can call it symmetrical. Askew, one of the whiskers is longer than the other. In this case, definitely both of these are skewed. Both, that's longer than that one. And on this side, that's quite short and that's quite long. Okay, the mode, unimodal, bimodal, multimodal, or no mode. Okay, so again, generally we're looking at, are there those humps and stuff? Normally in class, we talk about if you were riding a motorcycle, would the motorcycle actually make a jump at that point? Okay, here definitely, no, just bumps. This one, maybe. I have a hard time calling this, 3 versus 2 as an actual mode, but, you could make that call either way. Okay, so looking at our group, again, I would say both male and female sample groups are asymmetrical. That's true. And I would just carry on. Now, if they were symmetrical, then I would talk about that, about why I would expect them to be symmetrical. Because they're not, then the skew argument really takes more importance. Okay, females have a right skew and the males have an even larger right skew. So again, trying to do a comparison. Now this part here, again, all I've done is a comparison and just said what it is. So there's my achieved. When I go into here, trying to explain it, I'm actually more so jumping into excellence. It'd be good if I could add some research as well, but this is more of an excellence kind of thing. Because I'm talking about what is going on. Why do I see what it is? People can't get negative exercise, so I'm going to be a stop there. This whisker could probably never be super long. Whereas you could have some extreme athletes that are doing some extreme training and will easily stretch this out. Okay, so that's what we're saying in here. Again, trying to explain why that a skew makes sense. Now, neither group had a strong mode. This case is a little bit special because our sample is so small. And generally, if you don't have a mode for something like this, where you would expect that there's majority of people are in a certain area, which would give you one kind of what we call a normal distribution curve, one big kind of hump in one spot. If you don't have that, generally it means you don't have enough people in your sample. You're missing all the people that would actually fill it out. The golden rule is 30 people. You know, for when we do our investigation, you'll have at least 50, and probably 100 is more like it. But in this case, I didn't. I only had a small number. Okay. Comparison of the medians. Again, the median amount of exercise for the male group. So you're trying to actually be specific in the group, not just the male median is bigger. Okay, was 30 minutes, and the female median was 35. Again, just straight up what it is, achieved. Okay, and then I went into this supports my original hypothesis as I thought. Okay, now I'm kind of trying, that's kind of a more of a merit kind of comment. And then finally trying to go into the why I think these things. Again, I was a little bit reaching for straws here, and I thought, well, maybe women take more care in their appearance. So they would care a little bit more, so they'd exercise a little bit more. I definitely would want to back this up with research. Because that's, I don't know, that's pretty out there kind of statement. Might be true, might not. When we go on to spread, make sure I got enough time in this part of the video. Yeah, we got enough time. Okay, looking at spread. Spread's in two parts. You have the range. So the range, which is the gap between the minimum and maximum values. So you just take your max and subtract your minimum. And then your IQR, your interquartile range. Now this is the one where we get to show some more insight, because a smaller interquartile range, which is the box, right? That's your box from over here, from here to here. The amount of the spread is the interquartile range, but basically we're just looking at where the space that this box occupies, your middle 50%. Okay, golden rule, the smaller the box, the more consistent the data is. More of that main core, that middle 50% is all concentrated together. Okay, so for range, I talked about the range and what it is. Again, just doing these kind of things and doing your comparison, is your achieved. Good. We try to get into detail. This is expected, as male groups would have individuals that do no exercise and others that are committed to more regular exercise. Again, this is very, very almost excellence, especially if we back it up. Okay. When I go into this part, the IQR, again, I give all the numbers. I don't just say the IQR is bigger and smaller. I actually say what the numbers are. Okay, that's my achieved. Comparing the two, this is smaller, which indicates that they're more the male time is more consistent. Okay, comparing the two sizes, right? That's going to be my merit. Again, I'm bringing it into context. What does this mean? Here's what I see. This is what it means. Going into the why, this may be because females engage in a greater variety of sports. Might be true, might not. I definitely want a little bit of research to back that up. Again, by research, I just mean like go on Google and see what they say. See if someone actually says the same thing. Okay. Finally, unusual. Unusual, generally there are outliers or strange groups. You want to identify what they are. In this case, you could call these outliers, but I think they're not really that detached. I said neither group had outliers. Achieved. Okay. Then when I get into the reason, the reasons and stuff, this is more why. So again, I'm giving my marks towards excellence or a strong merit. When I talked about clusters, if I don't see any, there's my achieved. I don't see any clusters. Then when I give a reason, in this case I was saying that maybe athletes, if there's people from the same team together, then they would be training the exact amount, so they would have to be doing the same amount of exercise. they might show up as a big cluster in the data. Okay,